Hi, it's Dave Michaels in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm just wrapping up the Avaya Engage conference. You can see the keynote stage behind me. The conference goes on for one more day, but the analyst program just ended, and there was actually quite a bit going on here. So I would say overall, there was this was almost a snapshot of something in motion. There's a tremendous amount of change happening here at Avaya. The leadership, the CEO changed in October, and he's been naming other people on his leadership team. Mercer Rowe, who's now heading up the cloud initiative, I think was named about 6 weeks ago. So the leadership team is coming together just weeks before one of their biggest events of the year. And as a result of that, it's clear that the conference was a little too soon. I mean, it was probably scheduled a year ago, but a new Avaya is clearly emerging, and they're making lots and lots of changes. The biggest announcement at this conference was the acquisition of Spoken. Spoken has been a Avaya partner for quite some time, and Avaya actually co-engineered with Spoken some technology to make Aura a multi-tenant cloud platform. Now, Spoken did all the development. Spoken's been doing this on their own. They've been hosting customers in their outsourced contact center, and Avaya just acquired that company. And with that comes not only all this multi-tenant capability for Aura contact centers, but of course Aura is the same platform for UC, so it jumpstarts their cloud UC initiative by quite a bit. Spoken also brings with them things like self-service portals and some other capabilities, and also has some artificial intelligence where they can do things like record or transcribe calls and put that into the notes fields and speed up post-call processing and things like that. So Spoken was a pretty strategic acquisition, and that was probably the big news. Now, the thing about Spoken was it was fairly sudden acquisition. I mean, I don't know how long they've been planning it, but I don't think anybody really knew or expected it to be announced here at this event. Not even Spoken, because they had a separate booth on the expo floor. They couldn't even move that in time. From what I'm hearing, the deal was finalized over the weekend, and the show started on Monday. So it was very last minute, it came together, and fairly significant and a big part of their cloud strategy. Those things like the portals I mentioned will work with IP Office, and IP Office has a whole new cloud future as well with the new cloud initiatives and direction. So other announcements that were made here, you're going to see a lot of CS1000 upgrades. CS1000s go back to the Nortel base. The reason those customers in some cases haven't upgraded is because there's some technology in those products or some capabilities that just aren't easy to migrate. There's nothing quite works like a CS1000. So Avaya has doubled down on their efforts to make that migration much smoother by duplicating that same functionality in the Avaya platforms, such as Aura. There's also some pretty strong financial incentives to make that transition more appealing. So you're going to see a lot of action from Avaya to encourage customers to move off those CS1000s and unlock the rest of that portfolio. Avaya also announced a whole new series of endpoints. They call it the J series. There's 4 of them, and those are traditional telephones. It's been a while since Avaya has updated or refreshed their endpoint line, with the exception of Vantage, the tablet phone they launched last year. But they also introduced a new Vantage phone as well. So we've got 5 new endpoints at this conference, not to mention a new huddle room system that's coming out with the camera and microphones and audio, etc. So lots of technology here. We've seen everything from AI, Ava, to blockchain, identity as a service, to a new vertical focus that they're launching. So tremendous amount of activity happening at this conference. I would say the way you could kind of categorize these themes are cloud, mobile, and security. They seem to be a recurring theme, and what we're hearing and learning for the first time was that even though they were kind of quiet last year, they haven't really shared roadmaps or visions. They have been very, very busy, and their labs are full of stuff. And they just exited Chapter 11 in I think it was November, just a few months ago. So they have to move that stuff out of the labs now. They were able to get some of it out for this event. It sounds like there's going to be more coming out in Enterprise Connect, and it sounds like there's going to be more coming out pretty much all year, mostly in those categories of cloud, mobile, and security. we're seeing a pretty significant transformation. The leadership team has changed, the board of directors has changed, and now they're changing everything else. And so not only are they changing their portfolio, but they're really changing about how they produce it. There's actually a very different Avaya here. There's a new Avaya here. One of the principles that they're trying to embrace is just overall reduced friction. We heard Jim, the CEO, talk about on the keynote stage behind me. He talked about he's got less than half the VPs that were here a year ago. He's reduced, he's streamlined the organization. They're streamlining programs, they're streamlining go-to-market, and all that the dust hasn't settled yet, so there's going to be a lot more to see here. But those are the general themes of Avaya Engage. Thanks.